Why did Ukraine just attack a fourth Russian Shadow Fleet vessel? Again, 4 in 4 days. The strategy has changed. It's Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. My name is Darren Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to provide context for you in the war in Ukraine. So, yep, this just happened. But before we get to that story, let's get to this. Explosions occurred in Moscow region last night. Blackouts were reported, but I didn't see much more than that. So it's probably a very small thing that didn't last all that long. Okay, let's talk about this tanker, Volga, 120 kilometers off the Turkish coast. It was in Crimea 11 days ago, and it was said to have not suffered threatening damage, but it was hit with a drone. It was an aerial drone. The others were hit with sea baby drones, that's like seaborne drones that came up and rammed it and blew up. This was hit from the air. Russian tanker was attacked by a fixed-wing drone, possibly a FPV-1 Luti. At least 2 crew members were injured, including the captain and second engineer, after shrapnel from the strikes hit the ship's bridge. Russian media claimed the drone came from the direction of Odessa and was armed with fragmentation munitions. And we're seeing some of the damage that happened to the ship. It wasn't a great deal, but it was still some. Okay, this is the 4th strike in 4 days. So what's going on? Why are they attacking this? I think they're sending a message to the Shadow Fleet. I think that's first and foremost. If they can cripple it, all the better. But yes, this is in tandem with other things that are going on, like strikes on oil refineries and a port terminal here. Ukrainian drone strike hit Akhmat Regiment's location. I'll talk about that in a moment. Multiple other locations in Russia were also targeted by drones, not just the Akhmat positions, but there were explosions near Tuapse. Krasnodar likely hit the Ilisky refinery and a port terminal and a fuel depot in Oriol region that caught fire after impact. I just want you to listen. Well, no, not just, I want you to see this one. You can see this just kind of shadows off in the distance. This is the drone attack on Oriol oil refinery. And again, here's some other images of it and where it's geolocated to. You can see that here. And then on November 29th, 2025, UAVs from the GUR primary unit carried out strikes on radars and missile launchers in Donbass. This was a couple of days ago, but I had not covered it. So they're taking out these radars, and that's going to clear the way for other things to happen. This was a strike on the Gerdes. This is the Akhmat Regiment's base. This is the one I want you to listen to. I've covered it up, pixelated it so you can, but just listen. Like you can see the orange flash off in a distance, right? I mean, and this is from a great distance, but you can see the orange flash, and then you can hear it. Yeah, that was on the Akhmat Regiment's base. Okay, what else is happening? Overnight, Ukraine's air defense shot down or jammed 39 out of 62 drones. Strikes at 8 locations with 20 drones. We don't see a lot of damage, but the number 62, what does that tell you? It tells you that they're about half of what they can actually produce. In fact, what we see here, this is a fascinating map. On the left side of the screen, you see aerial traffic over Europe. And on the right side, what you're seeing is drones striking in Ukraine and where the hits are. It's a fascinating map for one night just to compare notes. Okay, November, Ukraine was attacked by 5,445 Shahed drones by Russia. 5,445. On top of that, hundreds of ballistic and ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, killing civilians across the country. The attacks lasted 30 days from the 30th. Okay, so what I wanted to show you here is, okay, what we know is that Russia can use about, let's say, 150 drones on average per day. This is a rough cut. If it's below, if it's 150 or more, I've given it a yellow until we get to like one of the massive attacks. If it's below that 150, then I put it in green, or this lime green, whatever this is, and so what we saw like last night was 62. The pattern is Save up, save up, save up, save up, save up, save up, like save a few and then have a big strike. Save up, save up, save up, save up, save up, have a bigger strike. Save up average or a little bit more than average, save up, big strike. Save up, save up, save up, save up, about average, big strike. Save up, save up, save up, big strike. So you're seeing that. So when I see 62, I think, okay, it's just a couple of days before there's gonna be another big overnight attack. All right. Skilled Tiwaz group operators shot down Ilmaz right over the city. It was heading toward our energy infrastructure. Now it won't harm anyone. So this is anti-drone going after a drone. And it's finding its target, getting close to it, and there it goes. Okay, battlefield. Let's talk about what's going on there. 1,110 off the battlefield. And we have updated figures for the average now. 0 tanks, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 14 artillery systems, 58 vehicles, and fuel tanks. Let's look at what happened in Pokrovsk. Russian invaders conducted 49 assaults. It's a little lower than what the tempo has been. And again, this is interesting as Putin's running his victory lap about how he's captured Pokrovsk, which he hasn't. Despite Russia's claim of capturing Pokrovsk, the Ukrainian military, this is Radio Free Europe, Ukrainian military corps fighting in the city said on December 2nd that its forces were holding the northern part while carrying out attacks in the south where Russian troops prevail. So there is a shift where in the south of Pokrovsk, the Russians do have an advantage, but we'll see how this all plays out over time, how long it plays out, particularly. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians attacked 9 times. Why am I talking about Kupiansk? Well, because Putin was talking about Kupiansk and how he had already bagged the entire city. But that's not so either. Northeast of Zaporizhia, we're talking about there were some attacks. They didn't say how many, but that covers all of the area, including Heliopol. And it seems like the action around Heliopol is slowing down. Prominent mill bloggers continue to undermine Kremlin's effort to portray Russian victory in Ukraine as imminent or inevitable. This is according to the ISW. It is notable that the Kremlin's misrepresentation of the situation on the ground continues to be so far from reality that prominent pro-war mill bloggers, plural, I talked about one the other day, plural, continue to feel compelled to issue their own corrective statements. So that's where they are. Now, that's in this context. Putin was meeting with Gerasimov. According to these images, this is close to the front. I don't know where he thinks he is, that he's close to the front, but I want to show you this area here. If this is close to the front, why is it all white up on top? Like it's just is it just a room somewhere that is been decided that we're going to put up some camo patterns? Because this doesn't look like it's close to the front. It looks like some studio space or warehouse space or something along those lines. So Putin threw on some camouflage, is now listening to reports about how Russian troops supposedly captured Pokrovsk and Volchansk. Of course, he was told that Russian troops already captured Pokrovsk a month ago. Most likely, this entire late-night performance was staged for one viewer. Remember, Witkoff is coming to town today, and we'll keep you updated about that. So Putin ordered the creation of a security zone along the Ukrainian border in the area of responsibility of Russia's North grouping. Well, he tried that already with Sumy, and it was utter and catastrophic failure. So we'll see how that plays out moving forward. Situation on the battlefield. Michael McFaul is reacting to this comment. Putin says the situation on the battlefield is a tragedy for the Ukrainian people. McFaul replied, the situation on the battlefield is a tragedy for the Russian people. Putin is sending their sons to be slaughtered to capture tiny little towns that no Russian has ever heard of. Ukraine is not Nazi Germany. No rational Russian believes that tiny Ukraine threatens giant Russia. So let's look at the British intelligence update to see just how bad things have gone. So Russia has likely sustained approximately 382,000 casualties, killed and wounded, in the conflict so far in 2025. Just this year, 382,000. And approximately 1,168,000 casualties since the full-scale invasion began. So a million, almost 1,000,002. It'll be 1,000,002 probably by the end of the year. And yeah, the average daily Russian casualty rate during November of 2025 was 1,033. I've been saying, just as a ballpark, rough cut, 1,000. If it's above 1,000, I say it's a little higher. If it's below 1,000, it's a little lower. That's 1,033 in November, and that's up from 1,008, which is why I was using the rough cut in October of 1,000, right? So it has been going up a little bit, but that going up is not going up like what it was last year. This time last year was a very different picture. Let's look at this. Okay, here is the line for 2025 this year, right? It's lower than last year because this time last year it was just going up and up and up, right? As we got into October, November, December, and even into January, it was high. The tempo on the battlefield was much higher than what it is been over most of 2025. So it got over to here into March, April, and they were talking about the spring offensive. It's going to be brutal, and it just kind of fizzled. So that's where we are. Okay. Putin signs a decree formalizing the Russification of occupied Ukraine, that is the 4 oblasts and Crimea, through 2036. What does that mean? I talked about this the other day, trying to find out where my video is. Here it is, Erasing Ukrainian Identity. Talked about this just a few days ago. It didn't get a lot of play, and I think that's just because of the time of day that I put it out. But go back to that video. I'm not going to belabor all that, but basically it's genocide. Genocide, just as Lemkin defined it, because they're trying to replace Ukrainians in those occupied territory with ethnic Russians, and they're doing that for a reason. This is the United Nations on genocide. What is genocide? The word genocide, now you know that it means killing people. Yeah, sure. But it's beyond just that. Okay. The word genocide was first coined by the Polish lawyer Raphael Lemkin in 1944 in his book Axis Rule in Occupied Europe. It consists of the Greek prefix genos, meaning race or tribe, and the Latin suffix "cide," meaning killing. Lemkin developed the term partly in response to Nazi policies of systematic murder of Jewish people during the Holocaust, but also in response to previous instances in history of targeted actions aimed at the destruction of particular groups of people. Later on, Raphael Lemkin led the campaign to have genocide recognized and codified as an international crime. And so the convention has been ratified by 153 states. That's 153 out of there's 180-ish countries in the world. As of April 2022, the International Criminal Court of Justice has repeatedly stated that the convention embodies principles that are part of general customary international law. So what is genocide? In the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, religious group, such as killing members of the group, that's genocide, causing serious bodily or mentally harm to members of the group, that's genocide, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction in whole or part, that's genocide, and imposing measures intended to prevent births within a group, that's genocide, or forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Okay, so you at least have 4 of 5. The 5th is even questionable. It could be 5 out of 5 of those categories. That's what the Russians are doing to Ukrainians right now. It includes 2 main elements: a mental element, intent to destroy in whole or part, national, ethnical, racial, religious group as such, and a physical element of doing those 5 things. So importing Russians to displace those persons in those 4 oblasts plus Crimea, that's genocidal. Okay, some bad news. Ukrainian private company director was caught profiting off front lines by supplying defective uniforms. According to the prosecutor general's office, he received payment in full, embezzling $40,000 in public funds while delivering gear unfit for use. That's just so awful in a time of war to be doing. I mean, it's bad enough to be doing the corruption, but to do it in corruption in a time where it's going to impact those frontline soldiers. And then we saw this, a British instructor exposed as an FSB spy. The security service of Ukraine has detained a British instructor who arrived in Ukraine in 2024, supposedly to train Ukrainian soldiers. According to investigators, he was actually working for Russian intelligence. According to the investigation, the foreigner was embedded under the guise of an ally to gain unrestricted access to Ukrainian military personnel and facilities. The SBU is now verifying his links to Russian handlers and his possible involvement in other crimes targeting Ukrainian public figures. So, yeah, I'm going to bring you the bad news, too. It's not just let's cheer for Ukraine. I'm behind Ukraine. I want Ukraine to thrive and win and throw off Russian aggression. But we got to be honest and see what all is going on. Okay, this is just a pilot's view from Ukrainian Air Force MiG-29 Fulcrum on a strike mission, flying above the deck while his head to head toward the front line. I just thought it was a cool video to see. It's pretty impressive. All right. This is also a cool video. This is a Ukrainian Lyashko ground robotic system. It used forks and nets to pull out a fellow robot that was damaged by Russian forces, and you're going to see this in a moment. Second, GRS was involved in the operation, helping to guide evacuation of the drone's operator. The video also shows the GRS evacuating a damaged Ukrainian heavy bomber drone. So they're working in tandem trying to do these kinds of things. It's pretty impressive what these ground robotic systems are able to do at this point. And that's the wave of the future, I think. I think you're going to see, you're going to see more and more of this over time. And military, as we understood it, is going to convert quite radically. Last little bit, a shout out to Michael Palazzola. I can't pronounce lots of things, but Palazzola, I think is how you pronounce it. Undergraduate YouTube member, thank you for your support. And this is where we're going to end. Putin's envoy, Kirill Dmitriev, will meet with Steve Witkoff in Moscow today. This is reported by Russian state media, and he's going to be delivering the results of the negotiations in Florida. I'll keep you posted on that. That'll be my evening 3 big stories video. So if you're not subscribed and you want to know what's going on, please consider subscribing. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person who cares about Ukraine.